Hello, I'm Shaantanu, and in today's episode of Mental Health in Sport, we have Natasha, a rifle shooter. Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about a little bit of mental health in shooting specifically. How do you feel it plays a role in your sport, whether it is in training, whether it's during trials and competitions as well?
So I think mental health, obviously, it plays a very important role in sport, any sport. But in my sport, it's mostly a mental game. It's hugely a mental game. So we do have a few techniques in which we train our minds to focus during training, during competition, on how to keep that focus consistent throughout the match, because that is important, because consistency is important through the match. So a few of those techniques that I have learned are breathing. Breathing is very important. It keeps your mind calm and relaxed. It keeps your body loose as well, because you can't keep it too tight when you shoot.
And so far, right, as we were saying, that sport is a very it's inherently a place where we understand a few things right now, but at the same time there are some things which we may understand later as well, and it's often a place, a space which challenges us, right? Was there any moment in your journey so far where you realized that sport is unpredictable and there are a lot of different elements involved, which go into you playing well or in you performing positively?
So this is an instance from a couple of years back. Okay. I was at my peak, and this was just before a very important competition, and I was doing really well in terms of my health, my mental state and everything. And I went for the competition. I'm talking about just a week before it. I was perfect.
Okay.
And then I went for the competition, and it was probably one of my worst competitions that I've ever played. And after reflecting and looking within, I realized that I had pushed myself to a limit where I had reached a burnout state.
Okay.
And I hadn't realized that at the time. So this took me a year to realize. So I think it's important to know what you're doing, and for this it's important to schedule your sessions as well. That gives you a more organized session, as well as your day, which makes you not push yourself to a limit. You can't perform well in a competition, or you can't focus at all, or your physical self is completely, it's burnt out. So I think it's important even in that sense, because the mind is related to the body directly. So it's important that you take certain measures to not lead yourself there.
Right. So this is something that you realized through your experience, right, where you felt completely drained out. And as you said, it's important to realize how much of your energy you are spending, and in any way are you overdoing it as well. And that effectively boils down to being self-aware as athletes, understanding the way you're thinking, the way you're feeling, and what is helpful for you in this moment and in the long run, right? So apart from being self-aware, for you to feel mentally positive and healthy, according to you, what are a few other skills or areas which are important for you personally as a shooter?
I think apart from your main sport, it's important to have other hobbies which help you keep your mind off it for some time, because as I said, burnout happens without you even knowing. So it's important to have hobbies, multiple, even one is fine. Just something to take your mind off, to wind down, to kind of get yourself back together and move forward. I have found music very beneficial for me as well. Before my competition, after my competition, whenever I need a little bit of calm and quiet, I listen to music. So I think that's very important as well. It's important to find something that you can count on as a constant.
Yes. So something which doesn't change and it's always there with you to make you feel calm, or to also be able to provide that balance, right? As you're saying that while on one hand you have the shooting bit going on, your training competitions, but because things are really dynamic there, a hobby which is off the sport, off at home, anywhere, that is essentially going to provide that comfort as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as you go forward, I'm sure you will have also noticed that the kind of shooting that you will do and the kind of challenges that will come will be different, and along with will also accompany different experiences, positive and or not. But more than that, what you will do outside of sport, your routine essentially, will be as important as what you do on the lane.
Yeah.
Right. So in that regard, since you told about one of your hobbies, I would just like to get a better understanding of the people around you. Right. So whenever you are doing anything, what does your support system really look like?
As a shooter, as a sports person, having a support system is very important because even though it's an individual sport, you have an entire team backing you. And that entire team is very important for you as an individual to go forward in your sport. So my support system is my coach and my family, and they have supported me like through my tough times, through lockdown, through quarantine, everything. And I just think that's extremely important because that helps you know that you have something to fall back on. It gives you kind of a safety net, that you have someone no matter what.
So that feeling of having unconditional support, where that no matter what happens at the end of the day, I have these people with me. And is that something you rely on, and that you feel that you draw confidence from whenever say it's a time to compete?
I definitely draw confidence, especially with whoever's traveling with me. I just know that there's someone there I can talk to, and I think that's important for anyone to have.
So Natasha, as we were talking, right, when it comes to a competition, a few weeks before, when you're building up to the competition, I'm sure there will be some elements which will make you feel positive and confident, and that they are the right things for you. But on the other hand, there might be certain factors, certain situations where you might not feel that good, and your mental health might, in those situations, might be at risk, so to say. So can you take us through essentially how you prepare for a tournament, and what does mental health mean in those moments? What helps you and what really does not?
I try to keep my atmosphere at home in the range as calm and like carefree as possible.
Okay.
So when I come home, my dogs are always there for me. So I know that that they're going to be at the door, at the gate, waiting for me, and that gives me a lot of joy. At the range, it's my safe place. So I tell myself that nothing can go wrong there, and if it does, I can always learn from it. So there's that, and even at home, going back to home, I have my family, which is one of my biggest support systems, and I know that my needs are taken care of at home. My nutrition, my exercise, whatever it is, it's all taken care of. And coming back to the range, it's my coaching and mentoring needs. It's all taken care of because, as I said, scheduling is very important. So once you schedule your sessions, your day, you're good to go. The things that don't give me confidence are, I'm talking 2 days before competition. There are obviously a lot of what ifs in the mind. What if this happens? What if I'm playing and I break my leg? I don't know. There are just a few factors like that make me very, very anxious. And I go back and I listen to music, and it calms me down.
Okay. So, music and also the people around you, including your dog as well, they are in a way what help you look forward to competitions, and we make you just feel more positive in that sense, right? However, like you've seen, I'm sure you've played a lot of tournaments as well, and these feelings of anxiety, it could be frustration, or a lot of things that typically athletes feel, right from feeling restless to feeling nothing as well. If you've seen, eventually, whether it is something in sport or something otherwise as well, we are bound to feel these responses because it's only human to feel them, right? And as you said, that when you are looking at it more of in terms of what you can do about it, right, it gives you more confidence. So essentially, if you were to change something, okay, which is your preparation, the mental preparation for a tournament, what would you add, or what would you take away, whereby you are feeling more positive?
I mentioned the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I've observed in myself is that if I go from what if I hurt my back 2 days before the match, I just say a positive statement instead, like what if my back feels great before the tournament. I think that really helps me.
Okay.
It also kind of assures me knowing that everything's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
So self-talk is very important in these circumstances, in any circumstance, in fact. That's helped me a lot.
Okay, so it's self-talk and more of, I would say, positive self-talk, where you are in a way, perceiving that situation in a positive light, where you see an opportunity rather than something which is going to, unsettle you, right?
Yeah.
And coming to the last bit about the lockdown, right? We've been in this pandemic for more than a year, and if you were to talk about the latest lockdown, can you take us through what has helped you essentially emotionally, and what has helped you maintain that balance and make sense of things, how things are panning out, especially because a lot of the times now, as we have seen, things are uncertain.
Yeah. I think what has got me through both or all three of the lockdowns is that knowing I have a weapon that I can take home and train with at home. I think that's a very big advantage for me, because when I come back, I'm not so far away from where I left off, because I am able to hold it home. I'm able to do my exercises and all of that. And as I said, nutrition, my food, everything, and my dogs, they're all at home. So I have struggled with anxiety through the lockdowns, and I've gotten through it because I've gone back to the range. I know that things are going to be okay. So just constantly self-reassurance is constant reassurance is important. Telling yourself that it's going to be okay, you're okay, you got this.
Okay, so like you're saying, trusting yourself and also having a routine in place, and then going and executing those things, right? And in this period, okay, last 4 or 5 weeks, while you were doing your exercises, like with the weapon at home also, mentally again, is there something which you learned which was new about yourself, which you did not know initially?
I did not realize that I took coming to the range, coming to the center every day for granted. And I realized that when I was holding it home, because every 10 minutes I had to take a break because I felt drained. Because it's honestly quite boring. You're standing in one place, you're holding a weapon. Once it opened, I promised myself that I wouldn't take it for granted, because it's a blessing, honestly. And that helped me grow. And another thing I learned about myself is that your mind is extremely powerful. If I can train at home, standing in one place for hours together with one weapon in one spot, then I can do anything. That gave me a lot of confidence, and I think that's still, with me. It's going to be with me for a very long time.
Definitely. So, on that note also, like, you have realized not just in this lockdown, but I'm sure you've had these insights where that as much as the technique, the physical aspect is also there, the mind also plays a role in the progress, right? And in your mood, in how you're performing. So do you feel more on a regular basis that the inputs of a psychologist perhaps, or working on your mind, where you're addressing your mental health and mental training as well, which is again more of enhancing your performance? And mental health is naturally also about understanding yourself better and being able to cope with these different challenging situations, which we all come across, and as athletes especially, you will have to face. Is that something which is important to become normalized and to make it a part of a routine of shooters?
Definitely. I think mental health, knowing about your mental state is extremely important, because as I said, it's directly related to your body. Your mind is directly related, and just having someone to talk to, as I mentioned before, is important. Having a professional opinion is important. I think having a psychologist is also imperative, because they can give you certain exercises and drills to focus on when you feel like you're in trouble, when you feel threatened.
So as you were saying, right, there are different techniques and strategies, which are used. So typically what happens is when we think about mental health, it's at times often misunderstood that, that we are okay if we are not really depressed or if you're not feeling really anxious. So if there is a lack of any of these mental illnesses, it's often felt like everything is okay. But actually, mental health, positive mental health is also a lot more than that. It's also about understanding ourselves better, right? It's also about having healthy relationships,
Definitely.
with people around us, having good conversations as well. It's about finding the best way to cope around with different stressors as well. So certainly in that sense, a proactive approach which is there, where athletes are doing certain things, just like, you're working on your technique, you're working on the physical part, the mental health part which is there, that is also addressed, so that when you're going to play a tournament, say, or, in general also, all these skills which are there, the mental part, they make you better equipped to deal with different situations.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to kind of wind up, is there anything else that you would like to, add in terms of what your experience has been about the mental health point?
I have come to realize that you don't actually have to have something wrong with yourself to reach out to an expert, to reach out to a therapist, a psychologist. They're just there if you want to talk to them, if you want to vent, if you want to rant about something, they're there for you. So that is something I have come to realize, and I'm also working on that front.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. I'm glad to hear that. So we have come to the end of this episode, and in the next one we are going to talk to a coach and understand their perspectives about mental health in sport.